Hello everybody and welcome to today's live broadcast. I'm with the Alzheimer's Society of Simcoe County. My name is Erica Rice. I'm the Education Coordinator here at the Alzheimer's Society. And every second Monday we do a live broadcast here on Facebook to bring you either a question that we get frequently asked when we're out doing education, or to cover topics of interest. So if you're out there watching today, if you want to let me know, maybe drop a comment, let me know where you're watching from, or drop some emojis to let me know that you're out there and listening. Throughout today, if you have any questions for me, please, type them away. It does take a little bit of time for me to see them on my end, so just be patient, but I will address your questions if they come up for me. So today's topic I'm going to be covering, it's a very popular topic for us, and I'm going to be talking about brain health. And so we get a lot of questions around what are the risk factors for dementia, and what are some ways that I can keep my brain as healthy as possible. So I thought that this might be a good topic for today. We won't be doing a Facebook Live during the holiday break, so the next time I'll be doing a Facebook Live is actually Monday, January 11th. And so as we close out 2020, it's been a very stressful year for many of us. And so we thought about, well, maybe we could talk about brain health. And as we go into 2021, thinking about what are maybe some resolutions that you might make for yourself to keep your brain as healthy as possible. So that's what I'm going to be covering today. So first of all, just to talk about some of those risk factors for dementia. So there are some risk factors that we don't have any control over. So I'll cover those ones first. Since we don't have control over them, we might as well just kind of let that one go. The first one is actually the biggest risk factor for dementia, and that is aging. So the longer that we live, the more likely it is that we will develop dementia as we age, although it is not a normal part of aging. So that's important to mention. Sometimes we think that as we get older, it's just an inevitable part of what's going to happen to us, and that's just not the case. However, the longer we live, the more chance, the greater risk that we have that we might develop dementia. And so the statistics are about, in Ontario, it's about 1 in 10 people 65 and over are living with dementia. And by the time people reach 85, it actually increases to about 1 in 4 people are living with dementia. So definitely the longer we live, the higher our risk. Now a big part of that is because the longer we live, the more chance we have of different lifestyle factors to accumulate, impacting our brain's ability to repair itself and keep itself healthy. So I'm going to be talking about some of those lifestyle factors that we do have control over, ways to keep our brain as healthy as possible. So the age is the biggest one. We can't stop aging. The next one is actually gender. So women are more likely than men to have dementia, and we can't change our gender that way. So, we might as well let that one go as well. And the last one, the third one, is genetics. So there is a genetic risk factor component. It's not a guarantee for most cases, but if you do have a direct family member, a parent, or a sibling or someone close to you that has had Alzheimer's disease, there's a chance that your risk can go up. So those are things that we can't change, but there's a lot of risk factors out there that we do have control over. A lot of those are those lifestyle risk factors. The Lancet Commission, which is a very important medical journal out of the UK, they were looking at some modifiable risk factors that if we did something about them through our lifespan could make some great impact onto whether or not we would develop dementia as we got older. And they came out with a report in 2017, and actually this year came out with a revised report with some other modifiable risk factors. And what they discovered is that there are 12 potentially modifiable risk factors out there, and that if we were to do something about these risk factors, we could minimize our risk by up to 40%. And so that's a fairly big modification as we're talking about risk reduction for dementia. So ones that we know that have been around for a long time are some of those other health conditions that can increase our risk, and specifically our heart health. So our heart and our brain are very closely tied together. If we have a healthy heart and a healthy cardiovascular system, we can actually decrease our risk for dementia quite substantially. So looking after our heart health is very important. And so many of the things that you already know about heart health, so things like, not smoking, or if you are smoking, to find ways to quit smoking, very important. Going out and getting exercise regularly. So when we get our heart pumping and our blood is flowing, it helps to keep our brain healthy by bringing that blood flow up to our brain. We actually, about 20 to 25% of our blood flow goes to our brain, which is only about 3% of our overall body mass. So it does take a lot of oxygen and nutrients in order to keep our brain healthy and working optimally. Other things around heart health, so our diet. Having a heart healthy diet is important for minimizing our risk for dementia. So looking at a diet that is full of fruits and vegetables primarily, and so lots of colorful fruits and vegetables. And I'm not going to say there's a specific thing that you have to eat, but taking advantage of all the things that we have available here in North America. But in particular, if we're looking at fruits and vegetables, if we can get some berries into our diet. So we do know that berries are really good for our brain health. It doesn't necessarily have to be blueberries, although blueberries are good, but it can be other types of berries as well. So if you could get a couple servings of berries into your diet in a week, that's helpful. We also know that dark leafy greens are important. So getting maybe some spinach or kale or some other kind of dark green leafy into our diet is important. We also know that when we're talking about healthy fats, our brain is actually made up of about 60% fat. So it does like fat in our diet. It's just what kind of fat are we feeding it? And so we want some good healthy fats in our diet. And we talk a lot about omega-3s, and we can get omega-3s through cold water fatty fish like salmon or mackerel, sardines, those kinds of things. But we can also get that kind of fat through nuts. Walnuts is a really good type of food to eat for our brain health. Flaxseed is another really great food to have. So sometimes I'll put a tablespoon of ground flaxseed on top of my cereal in the morning or into a smoothie. So there's some easy ways to get that kind of omega-3 fats into our diet. We also know that lean cuts of meat, so not the burgers and hot dogs and things, but we want maybe chicken breasts and those kind of lean meats in our diet. Also making sure that we're not eating too much salt. So we get a lot of salt in our diet through things like processed foods and eating out a lot. So preparing our own meals and really taking control over how much salt we're putting into our food is important for our brain health as well. So there's a lot of things dietary wise that we can do to keep our brain healthy. Exercise, of course, is really important to get your brain healthy. And recommendations are just to get up and get moving. So I do talk about trying to get 150 active minutes into your week, and that's for your average adult. New guidelines that have come out are talking about just getting movement put into our day in little spurts, even if it's just getting up off the couch and moving around the house or going up and down the stairs, or just trying to get more of that activity into our lives. And so we've talked about some nutrition and talked about the importance of exercise. So we want to get the cardiovascular system moving and the heart pumping. We also want to talk about stress reduction. So when we're under a lot of stress, it can really put a lot of pressure onto our heart health, but also our brain being able to manage when we're under a lot of stress. It's really hard for it. When people are dealing with depression that's not being managed, that can really increase the risk for dementia as well. So it's important to figure out ways to manage stress, and if somebody is dealing with depression, to make sure that we're getting some treatment for that depression. And so right now in 2020, it's been a very stressful year. So this has certainly been a topic that we have addressed often in our education, is ways to manage stress. And for those who are care partners out there, they are already dealing with a lot of stress, and then you add on what's been happening this year on top of that. So it's been difficult for them. So looking at ways that we can promote that self-care for the care partner, but also just promoting managing stress for everybody as an important part of having a healthy brain. The other one that's been a real challenge this year is social isolation. And so we know that socializing is important for our brain health. We need to be connected to other people. We're social creatures, and our brains are meant to connect with others, and having those kind of conversations and so on with others is really important for our brain health. And so when we are isolated, that puts our brains at risk. And again, with this year, with physical distancing, that's been a real challenge for many people. who've not been able to get out and get connected with people in the way that they normally would. And so looking at, well, how do we stay connected if we can't actually physically be with people? How can we stay connected virtually? And so maybe if you're looking at some resolutions for the new year, looking at, well, how do I get connected with other people if I can't get out and be part of the different activities or see my friends the way I normally would? How can I still get connected and socialize? Whether it's, picking up the phone and calling somebody every day, pick a new friend every day. Maybe it is learning how to use Zoom. Zoom has become a very popular way of staying connected, or FaceTime, or Google Meets, or all those kinds of different programs out there that help us stay connected. So it's kind of thinking outside of the box, but it is really important to stay socially connected, because that isolation piece, the loneliness piece, is what's really detrimental to our brain health. The other thing that's important for our brains is to exercise the brain. So we talk about cognitive engagement. And when we talk about cognitive engagement, it is about learning new things and having new experiences, trying new things out. And so if you're looking at something you want to try in the new year, maybe it is looking at, well, what is something that you've always wanted to try to do and maybe you've been a little hesitant to give it a go. Well, this is a good opportunity to go and try it out, to try a new skill, learn a new skill, have a new experience, meet new people. That's all really good for our brain health, because it helps to make new neural connections. And the more neural connections that we have in the brain, the more our brain is resistant to changes that come from a disease like Alzheimer's disease. And the other thing is to protect our heads. So as we're getting into the winter with the ice and the snow, it's really being careful, because falls, you fall and you hit your head, any kind of head trauma can increase the risk for dementia. So thinking about winter safety and keeping ourselves safe from falls is really important. So those are kind of the main things around brain health, like the taking care of what we eat, making sure that we're having a brain healthy, a heart healthy diet, getting physical exercise, getting mental exercise, managing our stress, staying socially connected, protecting our heads from trauma. These are all part of that brain healthy lifestyle. Now, if you wanted to know more, we actually have a 4-week series called Heads Up for Healthier Brains. We just wrapped one up just last Friday, but we are offering some more in the new year. The Midland Public Library is actually hosting one, which is, I had it written down here, I think it's starting on Thursday mornings in January, on January 14th it begins. It will be on Zoom, and so I don't think it's restricted to people living in Midland, but it can be people outside of Midland attending as well. And we do have another one starting, it will be Tuesday afternoons from 1 to 3 starting on February 2nd. So if you wanted more information about our Heads Up for Healthier Brains, if you're interested in participating, so we talk about all these areas of brain health and we expand them out and facilitate more discussion amongst the group. What are some ways that we can get some of that healthy food into our diet, or get out and do some exercise? So there's lots of great discussion, which is important because it's an opportunity for that social engagement piece. So if you want to know more about it, you can always leave a comment there right here on our Facebook page, and we'll get back to you. You can message us in Messenger from our Facebook page if you wish. You can also call our office, which is 705-722-1066, and request some information that way. You can call me directly. So again, my name is Erica, and I'm the Education Coordinator, and my direct phone number is 705-329-0909, extension 3802. That's 705-329-0909, extension 3802. Okay, so I hope I've given you some ideas to help keep your brain healthy both this holiday season and into the new year. And I hope that we'll see you again on January 11th, which is when our next Facebook Live broadcast will occur.